Today's video is brought to you by Empire Abrasives. All the projects you see on this channel where I'm shaping, cutting, grinding, these are all done with products that I got from Empire. Today, more than ever, we need to get the best bang for our buck as fabricators because all the stuff that we need in order to build the things we like to build just got a whole lot more expensive. In my experience, Empire has the most affordable abrasive products while not compromising on quality. This is an easy way for us to save money and continue to build these things that we love to build. Thank you, Empire, for sponsoring today's video. Today's video is just about tools. This is for those of you that are like me, you're into creative ways of solving problems, like a rocker switch panel. Sometimes these can be difficult to cut, and we've got a cool tool for that today that we're going to experiment with. So anyway, this is a question that I get constantly, whether it be in DMs or comments or whatever. People just saying, what would be the easiest way to clear off an axle housing? And I run across this, like this is probably the easiest way. There's a bunch of different things that we as fabricators or just people who like to work in the automotive space are always trying to figure out a creative solution for. And so that's what today's video is all about. I've got a shop full of tools that we could go over, but I just want to make this I want to make this video about 3 tools that I have made an impression on me over like the last 6 months or so. These 3 tools I think are pretty cool, and I want to share it with those of you who are interested. So the first one is going to be a rocker panel punch. You can ask, I have been saying this for, I don't know, a decade. Someone needs to come out with some sort of a small punch that you can pop the rectangular pattern for a rocker switch. And someone got a hold of me last year or earlier this year at some point, and they said, we have developed this punch for rocker panels, and I was super pumped. I haven't had the opportunity to use it. I plan on using it whenever I build the dash for my J10 truck. But this is something that's cool because you can use this for switch panel for anything. I mean, your boat, your RV, whatever. Rocker, for those of you who don't know, this is what a rocker switch is. And we've got one here that's for a front locker and one for a rear locker. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna test out this punch with this little chunk of scrap that I found in the back of the shop. And we're gonna see how it does. So the way this works is they give you this little 3D printed template that you place where you want to have the rocker panel switch, and then you drill a bunch of 1/8 inch holes, and then you drill 2 out to a 1/4 inch, and then the center one goes out to 3/8. And once I pull this apart, you'll be able to see. The center is a 3/8 bolt that has some anti-seize on it, and then we've got 2 guide rods that are clearly like 1/4 inch. So looks like we put it in here like this. Go like that. And yes, this is the first time I've used this. All I did to prep for this was I read the instructions, and then I went over and I drilled some holes in a chunk of scrap so we can see together how well this works. This is aluminum, but I imagine, man, that does not want to go in super easy. I'm running into something here. Oh, it's trying to go through the aluminum, I see. Give me just 1 minute. All right, so this is aluminum. I don't know the thickness. I'd have to check it. And I don't have my keys on me. I actually have a gauge on my keys. But this is something that I think is fascinating because of the way they designed it. You could do this right on a dash, and you could do it like in a plastic dash. So the first thing that comes to mind, just forgive me, it's not really a 4x4, is my Mini Cooper. My Mini Cooper has big plastic panels on the dash, and I have these extra off-road lights that I haven't hooked up yet. And this would be an easy way for me to punch a hole in that plastic panel and then install a rocker switch, and I'm not having to worry about building a rocker panel, which is pretty cool. So we have the option of either building a rocker panel that you can bolt on somewhere, or we could just go right through a metal dash, probably, like thin gauge steel. I'm sure this could punch through. Maybe go to their website and see what it's able to do. But if it'll go through this aluminum, it'll definitely go through plastic. Let's see how we do. Whoa, there we go. You know what? Before we set them in there, I'm going to do the other one too. I want to see what the cookie looks like. So there's a cookie in there, which I figured was going to be. So that's something that I'm going to have to pry out, I bet. So I'll have to get a screwdriver or something. So that's fine. For now, what we're going to do is we're just going to install one of these switches, and then I'll pop that cookie out later, and then I'll punch the other one. So I'm gonna pull. There we go. There we go. It's that easy. That's pretty cool, right? I know there's other gearheads out there that are like me that are freaking out about this because someone has needed to come up with a solution for this problem for a long time. And as you can see, like if you're building a buggy or something like that, which one day I plan to do, to be able to just have like a chunk of aluminum scrap like this that I have laying all over the place, I could just put a couple bends in, maybe pre-drill some holes so I could like, you know, secure it to some tube or something like that. I could go through and I could do like 10, 12, 15, however many rockers you need in a row. These switches are cheap. You can get them everywhere. And I mean, like I've got a shop full of these. So in the future, it's going to be so nice to be able to just quickly punch a hole. I'm not sitting there with a Dremel or an angle grinder or a plasma cutter or anything. I'm not trying to do anything tricky. All I'm doing is punching a hole and snapping it in place. This is brilliant. I certainly approve of this. So all the stuff you're gonna see today, all three things, I say all the stuff, all three things you're gonna see today are gonna be, I'll link them in the description of this video. So if this is something you're interested in, I don't get any money from these guys or anything. They just sent it out because they thought that I would dig it. Thank you so much for sending it out. I absolutely dig it. And so if you want to check this out, I'll put a link in the description of this video and maybe I'll put something in the, like I'll pin a comment or something like that. Anyway, let's set this aside and we can move on to this. This is something I am super excited about as well. I have no idea what company makes this. It says pipe polisher on it. This is an Amazon product. This is not something that's like DeWalt or some Milwaukee. No high-end company makes this. This is clearly a generic angle grinder body that someone has engineered like this adapter, I guess you would call it, on the end so you can polish pipe. And to me, this is really important because I work with pipe and tube all the time. Sometimes, especially with pipe, it'll have all kinds of stuff all over it, or if you have it sitting in your shop, like I've got a whole bunch of tube sitting in the back of the shop here, you'll get little bits of rust on it. Or if you want to clear off an axle, you're gonna cut those axle brackets and stuff off, you're maybe chisel it away, and then you've got all these weird little high and low spots, right? This is gonna be the best way to clear those high and low spots clearly. This is gonna be so much easier than taking a grinder and just going back and forth, spin the axle, back and forth, spin the axle. So I haven't actually had the opportunity to use this yet because it basically showed up right before I went on vacation. So let's see. I hope it turns on or I'll look pretty silly here. Oh yeah. So does it work? It spins and it does the action we're supposed to do. So here's what I'm gonna do for the simplicity of this video. Right now, I'll cut some B-roll over the top of me here. And what I'll do is after I'm done shooting this, I'll go over to the vise, I'll attach a chunk of pipe or tube or something, and I'll polish it up. And then right now you should be seeing the finished results of what the polish looks like. These are, I don't remember what size these are. I ordered these from Empire Abrasives. That's where I buy all this stuff. And I will put links to the Empire Abrasives link. I'll put in the description of this video so you can get this exact size. And then I'll put a link in our Amazon shopping cart for this tool. And in the future, whenever, you're definitely gonna see me using this in the future. I'm not sure which projects yet, but anytime I need to clean off an axle or just clear off some tube, there's no doubt about it. I love specialty tools and this is gonna be perfect for that job. Now, the last thing I wanna talk about today is something that even if you're not a fabricator, you need to learn to do 12 volt. 12 volt is so important if you do anything automotive related because it doesn't matter if it's a brand new car or truck or it's a super old, one-of-a-kind old car or truck, you need to learn 12 volt because they all have problems. My brand new Toyota Tacoma has all kinds of wonky 12 volt issues that I've had to hook a power probe up and check out. Luckily it has a warranty, so it's something I don't really have to spend much time in, but there's a lot of times on the trail that maybe your fuel pump will just stop working. And you want to check and see before you replace the fuel pump if it's, you know, if it's like the wiring or whatever. So 12 volt is a valuable skill to learn, and you need basic 12 volt tools, a multimeter. I'm a huge believer in the power probe, which we've talked about the power probe in previous videos before, but you need to figure out a way or you need to figure out some tools that you can cut wire with and that you can strip wire with. So this one, what we're talking about specifically today is wire strippers. This is a tool that was sent to me by Eastwood. This is an outstanding set of strippers. I've been using these for, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, somewhere in there. And because it's a fully plastic body, I didn't want to talk about it in a video unless I knew this was going to hold up. So I've done a bunch of projects with these now, and they're holding up. And I've stepped on them on accident, and you know, for being plastic, they seem really durable. They're lightweight, and it's such a simple action. So these are my dad's wire strippers that he used in the military in the 80s. And he gave them to me when I was in high school, and they work fine, but there's basically a bunch of different sizes on one side here. There's a little bit of, so it cuts kind of clean. They're not the best thing ever, but they work. I used these for a long time, and look, now that they're getting rusty, there we go. They didn't really want to close it as easily on one side, but these are seriously like as old as I am. So I eventually retired these, and I just got your standard, I was probably 18 when I bought these, and this is your standard wire stripper where you put it through a couple of these little grooves, and then you pull on it. Oh, see, I need to go one size smaller. And then boom, you strip the wire, right? These are cool and all, they're cheap, and you can get them at O'Reilly or anywhere. But the problem is, because you have to like yank on it, sometimes the other side of this is connected to something delicate and you can pull it out. That's a problem. So I've never really been a fan of these, but I used them for a little while. These were sharper, these are a little bit nicer and a little bit more compact, and these were my next upgrade. And these work pretty decent actually, but it's the same action where you have to like pull it away. So these strippers that I just got sent from Eastwood, you stick it in there, you line it up to this little blue jammy that's dangling down, and then you just pull back, and then boom. It's so simple. And it's not like I have to select the size wire like these other ones where it shows you like what gauge wire to put into what size. This is just whatever size you can fit in there, it strips. I'm sure there's definitely a limit, right? I highly doubt you're gonna be stripping aught gauge wire with this, but for just your average like off-road light hookup or like locker switch hookup or any of that, to be able to just strip it like that. Oh yeah, so I guess I should show that action one more time here. So when you first pull it, it just like has the end there. But if you just give it that little extra, just like the smallest tug, it just pulls it right off. So these are the best strippers that I have used so far. I've seen some other really creative styles of strippers out there, but I haven't used those. But for the different styles that I've owned and used, and different friends' strippers that I've used on the trail or whatever, this is my favorite for sure. And again, these are from Eastwood. I will put a link to these in the Amazon cart as well. And if I can't find them on Amazon, I'll just put a link to Eastwood's website so you can check them out there. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to show you guys some of these tools that I'm playing with in here. I think that these are all awesome. Anytime I have a tool that will make a job faster, I'm super excited about it, because you're not sitting there you don't have an accident because you pull a little bit too hard and it yanks it out of like a board or a light or something like that. You now have a tool that strips it easily, or you have a way to clear an axle easily, or you have a way to install a rocker panel easily. If you want to support the channel, you can go to thedirtlifestyle.com. We have t-shirts, hats, neck gaiters, all that kind of stuff. We also have a link to our Patreon community, which we are doing a lot on right now. So I just filmed this week's video for Patreon. I just shot yesterday, and it was an update about all the problems that I had with the Land Rover on this last big trip that I took. So if that's the kind of thing you're into, feel free to hop on over to Patreon and join that community. And we do fan rides on there too. So if you want to join a fan ride, that's the place to do it. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at Dirt Lifestyle Nate. We'll see you next time.